Who are you with your money? I'm not simply asking you what you do with your money, but how do you do life with your money? What is your financial persona? Do you even know you have a financial personality, like a financial person inside of you? The way you handle your money is inextricably tied to your financial persona and your personality. For you, as is true for everyone, money is more than a medium of exchange. It's the means through which we interact with the economic world that surrounds us in a way that reflects what is important to us and what we value the most. There are four financial personas: spenders, savers, investors, and planners. Your financial persona is evident by your financial activities and how you handle money, but your behavior patterns are affected by the values you associate with money and what you want it to accomplish for you. Motivating factors, drivers behind these personas. We spend money because that gives us pleasure. We save money because it gives us a sense of security. We invest money because it gives us wealth and a sense of accomplishment and power and prestige. And we plan with money because it allows us to control our environment. Why is it important to know the financial persona? Because that will help you understand your financial strengths and weaknesses, your financial priorities, and how you should structure your finances to make your money most meaningful to you, a process I call bringing your money to life. It is also helpful for you to know what your high needs and interests are in the 5 components of financial planning: creating wealth, generating income, minimizing taxes, neutralizing risk, and transferring wealth. This will help you make the most of your financial resources. Let's meet the financial personas using fictitious, non-gender specific names. Meet Jamie. Jamie enjoys money, enjoys relationships and enhancing relationships by money, spending money, is often a giver. Jamie is fun in general, has loose budgets, not sure exactly how much is in the bank account. Jamie is a short-term financial thinker. Often is not the most astute with finances. You wouldn't go to Jamie for financial advice outside of where you might be able to buy something for a good deal. If Jamie were to find $100 in a coat pocket, Jamie would say, "How can I enjoy it the most?" Overall, personality is, Jamie is a fun person. You see, Jamie is a spender, and spenders' financial priorities in retirement are to have money to enjoy throughout their entire retirement. They may work during retirement to have more money to spend. There are some pros to this personality. They enjoy money. They're smart shoppers when they're not impulsive, but they also have some downsides. They might have budgeting shortcomings, and they might be impulsive. They might be shopaholics. They may be a bad influence on others with their finances, and they're generally not maybe good with money and planning purposes. They might run out of money in their lifetime because they tend to spend, and because they've spent throughout their lifetime, their amount of resource may be somewhat limited. Spenders have a high need for a financial planner. They don't do financial planning all that well, and they recognize it. They also recognize their need to have financial resources to spend for their entire lives, and recognize that without a financial planner, they may run out of money. The financial planning strategies that spenders are most interested in are creating wealth, generating income, and neutralizing risk. For them, creating wealth is important because they need those assets to be available to spend, and they do need an income strategy. They need to have income for their entire lives so they do not run out of money. And neutralizing risk is something that they also need to do because of their spending velocity. The financial products that are of most interest for spenders are income annuities for the lifetime income they provide, growth annuities because of the higher growth that they provide than other safe resources, and investments, although spenders tend to be a little more short-term thinking in their finances. Insurance products are also something that spenders can benefit from, but they are not particularly interested in spending premium for insurance products, so term insurance might be a better option in the life insurance category of products. Let's meet Pat. Pat likes the security of money. Pat is cautious about both spending and investing. Pat likes to have a large bank account balance, often much larger than is needed. Pat shops for the best interest rates and is not particularly savvy, but handles the money well and is a meticulous budgeter. Pat pays for things in cash, doesn't borrow money, doesn't like to have credit cards, but if Pat were to have a credit card, it'll be paid off every month. If Pat were to find $100 in a coat pocket, Pat would think, where can I get the most interest for it? The overall personality for Pat is being conservative. You see, Pat is a saver. The financial priority for a saver in retirement is not to run out of money, and savers will forgo spending for additional security. The benefits of a saver personality are being frugal. Savers have money available for what is needed, and they're unlikely to run out of money. The downside, or the negative personality feature, are that they don't feel free to spend very often, and they don't get as much use out of their money other than the psychological comfort of having it. They might worry about money even if they have sufficient resources, and they're somewhat pessimistic. They have a pessimistic view about finances in general. They have a limited view of financial planning, and they have potentially limited spending, which reduces social connectedness. Their need for a planner is high. They are not particularly knowledgeable about finances, and they do have an interest, but it's limited to the scope of engaging financial planners to get them better interest. The financial planning strategies that savers need most include creating wealth. They have a recognition that they want to have more wealth, but their view of investments, of building wealth, is somewhat limited to safer vehicles. They do have an interest to neutralize risk. By nature, they're conservative, and they don't want to take a lot of risk, so they have an interest to doing things that don't get them into financial trouble. Also, transferring wealth is an important strategy for savers because they want their assets to benefit the next generation. The most beneficial financial products for savers include annuities, particularly growth annuities, and they also have an interest in insurance to provide for their loved ones if they should pass away. Meet Jesse. Jesse likes having money and gets excited to see it grow and tracks it regularly. Jesse's optimistic about finances and spends, but is not a driving factor in Jesse's life. Jesse does like nicer material things. Jesse's fairly knowledgeable overall about finances, especially about investments. And if Jesse were to find $100 in a coat pocket, Jesse would say, how can I make it worth more? Jesse's overall personality is success-oriented. You see, Jesse is an investor. The financial priority for investors are to build wealth. They like to achieve greater financial success as an end goal. And the benefit of that is that they make money work. It is more productive for them than other financial personality types. They're engaged, they're on top of their finances, they have a good outlook, and they're in better financial standing than other financial personalities. The downside of this behavior pattern is that they could potentially take too much investment risk. They could even border on being perhaps reckless in their investing. They may have an obsession with money, and they'll compare themselves with others, often making them judgmental about other people's finances. They could be socially exclusive. They define financial planning too narrowly. They need a bigger vision for planning other than just growing their portfolio. They do have a need for a planner, and they do know about investing, but they do need to have a little broader understanding of what financial planning entails. The financial strategies that are of most interest for investors are to reduce taxes. This is an area that generally most consumers aren't too aware of, is the taxes related to their finances. Some of the other areas the investors might feel more comfortable with, but the area of tax planning is something that they recognize is a weakness of theirs. Also, the need to neutralize risk. They tend to be risk takers as part of their personality, but they would benefit from financial instruments and strategies to reduce their risk. The products that are most of interest for investors would be potentially annuities for growth, but in a limited fashion, not to replace stocks, but to replace less performing vehicles, potentially like bonds. Investors would also benefit from different insurance products because they're being a high risk taker and relying on their financial resources to meet all their financial needs, they may have a better outcome by looking at insurance products to relieve some of the risk. Let's meet Chris. Chris is highly organized and loves spreadsheets. Chris will have a wide array of financial instruments, and including both insurance products and investments. Legal documents are probably in place. Chris is really highly knowledgeable in many areas and quite savvy, and thought about most things related to finances. Chris does a lot of independent research, and if Chris were to find $100 in a coat pocket, Chris would think, how can I make the most use of it? Chris's overall personality is structured because Chris is a planner. The financial priorities in retirement for planners is to have everything in order, have no loose ends, and leave nothing to chance. The benefits, the pros of this personality are they know a lot about planning in general, and their full array of needs are largely met. The downside is they can be procrastinators, and they seek perfection, and because of that, it may take them a long time to make a decision. They're continually looking for more information, always need more information, and planners often might think they know more about finances than they actually do. They may not be very coachable, and they may be inflexible. They do have a need for a planner, but it's maybe a little bit lower than some of the other financial personas because they have a lot of things set. But they do have a need for planning related to taxes, and they also have a special interest in legacy planning. They do like to have everything set up, and they do have an interest of leaving things for the next generation as effectively and as efficiently as possible. The financial strategies planners would most be interested in are minimizing taxes and transferring wealth. Minimizing taxes is a component of financial planning that planners know least about, and they have a large interest in legacy, transferring their assets to their heirs. People will ask me, Len, what is the best financial persona? Well, the best financial persona is who you are. You cannot change your view of money. You cannot change your connectedness with money. So you need to do finances in the way that suits who you are. Now, given your financial persona, you need to make the best choices. You need to take advantage of the strengths of your persona and minimize the weaknesses. That's why it's important to use the services of a financial planner that can fill in those gaps in both your knowledge and your behavior patterns to get you the best result. It's also important to note that we're not just one financial persona, and we'll often have different parts of personas in our overall behavior patterns of how we do finances. If you'd like to find out what your financial persona is, please access our resource. You'll have an enjoyable time learning a little bit more about yourself and how you can be more effective with your finances. And if you are married, you and your spouse would enjoy doing this together to see how you can do life together more effectively and more enjoyably.